Okay, guys, welcome to today's session. I've not really been that active recently, been busy with a lot of things, but in this session, I'm going to be talking about lists. We're going to be saying some things about lists. I'm not really sure if I've talked about lists before now, but whether I've talked about it before now, we're actually going to look at a lot of things now. So, first of all, what is a list? A list is a collection of it's a collection of values. Now, what do I mean by collection of variables? Normally, if we are to say name, we'll say something like this: name equal to Augustine. Sorry, Chinedu is my tribal name, Augustine. Now, this is a variable and a value. Now, if you wanted to put more than one value in this, maybe we'll say Augustine. We'll add comma. And we do Chinedu. This is actually going to give us an issue in the future. But for us to be able to put these two things together, we wrap it around with square brackets. Now, when we do this, it automatically becomes a what? A list. So square brackets makes it a list. So with this, I can have access to several things. Maybe I can say, I add something like a gender. I say male. I can even add a number and so on to it. So if I should write this like this and I do a print statement and I say print names, I should run this code. Let me just do this Python list and methods.py. Oh, okay, let's do the second way. Sorry about that. Good. So this one actually worked now. Probably I was not in the same directory, so it didn't work at that period. So as you can see, it printed out Augustine, Chinedu, and mail with the other things. So now that we know that we have a group of values together in one place, how can we now access each of them? We use what we call the index. So in lists, any item that's inside, this is an item. The items are separated with a comma. This is an item, this is another item, this is another item, and this is another item. So if we want to access an item, we have to call it by its position. So normally we can say this is position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, position 5. But in Python or in programming generally, number starts from 0. Starts from 0. So if we actually want to access the first value, all we have to just do is call the name of the list and put square brackets. This is what we call index, and then we specify the position. So I can see, you see names 0. So this is actually going to bring out the first item in the list. So I'm going to just put in the print statement, save it, we run it. So as you can see, it gave me back Augustine straight up. So that's how we access the first one. What about if we want to access the second one? So remember, programming starts from 0. So if I have to access the second one, so it's going to be what? 1 this time. Give me Chinedu. And if I wanted to access maybe the third item, I simply specify 2. Give me the third item. So that is how we actually make use of that's how we make use of lists to be able to access specific values. So what else can we also do with this? First of all, we can be able to go through each element in a list and actually do what we call traversing. For this, we actually use a for loop. If you've seen the videos about loops, you should be able to get this a bit. So if we want to do that, we can say for name in names. If you do not understand this, please look at the previous video on loops. So I said for names in names, I can now decide to print name. So traversing simply means going through each item in a collection of values. So as you can see, it's going to, what will happen is that if I should run this, it printed out The first one he actually printed is actually supposed to be name. That's this Augustine. Sorry, let me run this. So as you can see, it printed out Augustine. Printed out Augustine 1 and 2. They pay me. Just kidding. Oh, it actually printed out name. Oh, the main reason it printed out name was this print statement here. So let's rerun this again. Oh, nice. So you see over here, it printed out Augustine, Chinedu, Mail 2 and 1. So we can decide inside this for loop to actually maybe do something. And maybe let me take out these two numbers. We just say, let's just say we say print we can just decide to write this here. We'll say we are currently, and then we specify, do this, and then we concatenate. So if you should run this now, you see we are currently in Augustine, we are currently in Chinid, we are currently in Mail. I know it doesn't really make much sense, but you can see how we can be able to use for loops to be able to do much in this particular way. We can also decide to add specific, maybe change the value of a particular item in the list. So maybe I decide to put or I want to change this from mail to maybe a particular name. So I'll comment this out. Let me just tag it up here. I'm going to say traversing a list. So next we're going to do that. So we're talking about editing a list. How do we edit a list? Maybe we want to change a name or something. All we simply have to do is to say the name of the list and the position of what we want to change it. So this is at this third side, but remember Python programming starts with 0. So this is 0, 1, 2. I'm going to say position 2, and I'm going to change the position 2 to what? I'm going to change it to let's say Newman. Then I'm going to print out the list again. So I want you to observe now. Right here we had what? Augustine, Chinedu, and Mail. But let's see what we're going to have here again. I run this now. You see we have Augustine, Chinedu, and what? Newman. Why do we have this Newman? Because we're able to edit this and change the value of Mail to what? Newman. We could also decide to change maybe the first or the second. Let's say the second item, which is index 1. We are going to change it to JNet. So if we should run this at this point, oh, it actually, an error occurred. So what is that error? SCR doesn't support what? Oh, now this is the error. We specified a wrong variable. Good. So as you can see now we have Augustine, Janet, and Newman. So the first error we got at that first point was because I didn't say name. I didn't say names. I said name, and names doesn't exist. So that was where the issue came out from. So that is how we actually edit the things inside the list. So what else can we do? We can actually make use of operators. By the way, I also did a video on operators. The link will be in the card up here somewhere. I'll try to remember to add it. So we can actually add two lists together. For example, if I say I have a list that's A1, 2, 3, and I also have another list B, and I say 4, 5, 6, and I actually wanted to actually join these two lists together, we can use the plus sign, which is for concatenation. I think I must have talked about this before in my other video. So we're going to say A plus B. Sorry, not B is exception, B. That is VS Code. So if I print out C, because C is an addition of A and B, I should print out C. Let me comment this print statement out. I should print out C at this point. What do you see here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what happens is that it brings these two items together and join them into one list. How does that sound? Cool, right? We also can do what we call repetition in it. So if I should say A times 2, oh, you might be thinking, it will multiply 1 by 2, 2 by to multiply 2 by 2 and 3 by 2. But no, that's not what happens in this situation. What will happen is this. It's going to give me 1 2 3 1 2 3. It simply multiply the element. It creates a duplicate of the element by how many times I specify. Like I said, this is repetition. So we're going to use asterisk. Asterisk is repetition. Repetition. It's only in when dealing with integers and floats that you normally have plus sign as addition. In other places, it stands for concatenation, which is concatenation. It's just joining two things together, not really changing it, but just joining them together. So the next one we have is used to check ranges of characters, which is the full colon. Now, sometimes I might have a particular list, something like let's call this is for range. Now let me tell you what I mean by the range. This is not the range function, by the way. So let's say we have a list, we have this, and I have 3 5 54 this that the okay, these are from scores of some students. Let us make it more specific. So let's say we have scores of some students, and they say they only want to get the score of the third student and the third and the fifth students only. We just want this and this. How do we do that? Some might want to say, okay, I do index 2 and index 4, but that won't work in this situation because it's actually going to take some. That's not the proper way to do it. So how do we do it? We simply have to do what we call slicing or checking range. Some people call it slicing, some people call it range. I call it slicing sometimes. Slicing. So the way it works is that we're going to say scores index, then we are going to specify where we want to start from. So this is the third item, but it is what index 2, because remember programming starts from 0. So if it is the first item we're looking for, it means it's supposed to be what index 0, and if it's the second item we're looking for, index 1. If it's the third item we're looking for, it is index what 2. Good, it's recording. I thought I made that mistake again. So if I should put this, remember, now it might also ask me to specify, okay, the next one. So if I do so we had index 2 3 4. If I do 4, let's see what this gives us. So if I should rerun this, sorry, let me take out this print statement, save this, rerun this. Wow, we got 7 and 3 only. So why did it leave out 9? Now the way it works is that if this last number is specified, it's actually going to stop at that point, but it's not going to bring out this number here. So if I say index 2, it's going to start from index 2 and stop at the index before the one that we specified here. So that was why it stopped at this point, but it didn't bring out this remaining side. It stopped at just this point here and brought out this 2. So how do we add this 9 to it? We simply come to the last index, which is index 5. So if I should save this and I should run this, we get what we wanted to do. So we'll say got the scores for the third and from the third to fifth students. Are you with me? So that is how we do it in Python. Now what if they say I just want the scores of the second student till the end, I don't want the score of the first student? How do we do that? We simply do the same method. We specify it, we say scores, and then we specify from what we want to start, which is the second index. So the second item, which is what, index 1. Remember, Python starts from 0, so it's index 1. So we do 1. If we should run it like this, to just specify the second item. But if I should add this and leave it like this, so what we are saying is that we just want from this second item to the end. So if I should save this and I should run it, we got 54, 7, 3, 9, and the remaining one to the end of the list. So in a situation where we just want maybe a specific section to the end, this is what we do. We don't specify a start. Are you with me? That's great. So these are some little things with lists. In the next video we are going to be looking at some list methods to see how you can maybe add a new item to the list without touching this specific without touching the main variable that handles it, and how we can also find maybe the highest number in a list, or to find the sum of a list or something like that. So that's all for this videos, guys. Sorry for this video. I will see you in the next video. Peace.